going? I can't see because I have it cut off.
Oh, we're going. Yes.
Okie dokie. Ryla-roki. Are
we just jumping right in? What are we talking about today?
Well, how's life? Or we could just get into it.
It's exhausting. Nobody's sleeping again. We had a good 2-day run. It's feeling pretty good. Pretty stupid to feel that way.
You were defeated by your own hubris, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's exactly what it sounds like. Correct. So, I'm just tired and frustrated.
I'm sorry. That sounds like a bag of dicks. I had my birthday party.
Ooh, what'd you do for your birthday?
I had my party on Sunday, and friends came over, and we did a one-shot of a TTRPG called Morkborg, and we made Tom and Jerry's and ordered a shit ton of pizza, and it was really, really fun. I don't have a good transition.
Okay, good. That's all right.
I've been trying to think of something.
Yes. Can we make one more, not correction per se, but clarification for our mother's sake, who had a lot to say about the last episode?
Oh my God.
You didn't respond to like any of it. You were just like, send me those magazines. Love you. Bye.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like it's best to just let her have her space to yell at us, because she yells at us all the time.
All the time. Don't start it that way, or we're just going to be doing this again next week. Okay. So, allegedly, we perhaps made it sound like she was like an absent mother or neglectful or like passed out. When we say that she fell asleep, she legit fell asleep because she was a tired mom. She wasn't like passed out letting you watch Unsolved Mysteries.
I mean, she was asleep letting me watch Unsolved, but she wasn't passed out from substances. She was just tired and had, would sometimes fall asleep during that horror show.
As we all do.
She was actually, I would say, almost too hands-on, maybe.
Yeah. So there you go, Mom. Yeah. You're way too clingy. Too hands-on. You're too substance-free.
That I would agree. I would really agree. I think Mom could use some substances. So I'm just going to read part of her text, because you were wondering how she knew about you and that creep. And so she said, she goes, Riles, Rita and I stalked you when you went to the movies with that sleazeball. We were across the street in the car lot, hiding behind cars, watching you go into the theater and exit the theater, along with various other stalking adventures. I love that it wasn't just Mom. It was also Rita, and Rita has known us since like we were born. Before then,
because like long time.
She and Mom have known each other for like, I would just say it has to be close to 40 years.
Yeah.
It has to at least be 35.
Yeah. And anyway, I didn't even know I was being stalked multiple times. So that goes to show you.
They're good.
That either they're good, which, okay, fine. I could believe that.
Or you're just.
Or I took nothing from those Unsolved Mysteries episodes, and I was just living my life willy-nilly, not a care in the
you
world,
were dating
not
that
looking over
sleazeball,
my
so
shoulder.
Obviously you didn't take anything from them.
I was rebelling in the weirdest way possible. I was like, well, guess what? I am going to put myself in danger by dating this weirdo. He was 23, by the way, not 26. I made it creepier.
It's still gross
than it was. It is.
No, it's still gross. I was talking to a 23-year-old co-worker, and I was like, could you picture yourself dating a 17-year-old? Because we were talking about this episode, and he's like, no, that's a child. And I was like, yeah, exactly.
Yes. No, it's still gross, but I didn't want to over exaggerate. Like, it's already gross. I just honestly could not remember.
Speaking of gross and maybe sleaziness,
great
my transition. It's time to talk about everybody's favorite sleazy, maybe you decide, band to hate, Nickelback.
That's why you were listening to Nickelback.
Why else would I randomly text you and be like, hey, listen to Nickelback with me?
Okay, but it didn't start with Nickelback.
Well, yeah, it started with Linkin Park, because I was going to cover Linkin Park, and then I was just like, What if I changed
Okay.
it last minute yesterday to Nickelback? And then the funny thing is, I've written this episode, or I've written my notes for it, and I got bored during it. So we'll see how this goes.
Well, I mean, in my defense, it's not the most random thing you've ever texted me.
True. And it's also now not, oh, did Katie ever respond to your.
Yeah, she had no idea who I was talking about.
Okay, I could get that because she's like beyond hipster. She's something else, something
Ooh,
higher,
she is.
something more powerful.
She is. She's like elevated past
Yeah.
that point. She's her own being.
Lesbian hipster category. Yeah. Good
Yes.
for her.
And we love that for her.
Yeah. Anywho, Nickelback.
Look at this photograph.
Look at it, damn it.
Look at it.
Look at how it makes me laugh.
Why are our eyes so red? It's called Red Eye Nickelback. Like, has he never seen a photo? Okay, sorry.
Apparently. Also, what the hell is on Joey's head? So I'm glad we're doing this because we are going to play a game later.
Yay!
We could play it now if you want.
You do what you want with this episode. I'm super excited.
I am glad. What we're going to be discussing today is like, I feel like when people think of Nickelback, they probably think of a lot of things. But like the biggest conversation around Nickelback as of late, I feel like has become the why does everybody hate them so much, yet they're so successful. So I kind of focused more on that. And it's hard. I feel like it's tricky to talk about music and is it bad or is it good because it's so subjective. But then I was like, well, you and I really just love to be judgy, so that doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. We'll just judge.
It's our show.
It's our
we
show.
Decide.
It's our show. We decide. And now we're going back to 1995. Oh my God, I could write for Nickelback. That rhymes so hard.
You were in was it our last episode? You were so hard on yourself. You told me like 3 times you couldn't rhyme. And that made me super sad, but look at you now.
Look at me. I've grown just since the last episode. This is growth. I'm glad everybody's here for it. Thank you for being on this journey. Right. So Nickelback, as you may or may not know, is a Canadian rock band. It formed in 1995.
Sweet. Good for them.
Yeah.
So they're old.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It formed in 1995. Before that, the group was a cover band. And then the lead, kind of like the front man, or not kind of, the front man, Chad, I didn't look up how to spell anyone's name, Chad Kroeger, that's how it's spelled, so that's how I'm going to say it, it was like his stepdad for money so that they could make an EP. And some of that money he used to buy magic mushrooms, and the rest went towards making said EP.
That tracks.
And 7 years later, their breakthrough hit, How You Remind Me, took them very much mainstream. And the single would appear on the album, if you remember, very distinctive album art, Silver Side Up. Remember, it has like the eye with the platinum tier. And speaking of platinum, it went 8 times platinum. And that's
8 times?
Like 8 times.
What other songs were on that album?
We'll get to it, my little biscuit bear.
Okay.
So here's the thing about Nickelback that I think is very interesting, is that they're probably like one of the most ridiculed bands in modern history, but they're also insanely successful. Like they've sold over 50 million records worldwide. So that puts them above acts like NSYNC, the Foo Fighters, Amy Winehouse, and Gorillaz.
You know, people do love to collectively hate something, though.
Yeah. And like part of, so what's crazy though is, and I know some of these, like, okay, Amy Winehouse did pass away at a very young age, so maybe she would have outsold. But like the Foo Fighters, NSYNC, the Gorilla, and I mean, like I checked out I checked out chartmaster.org, and it placed them on, it was like the list of best-selling artists of all time. So obviously like the Beatles were, I believe, number 1, but it put them at 107. And I mean, that seems like when you're like, okay, 107, but I'm like, this is all time. This
all
is
time,
like,
yeah.
And it was like page 2. It was only page 2, and there were so many other names that I was shocked to see them above. Like, I just kind of cherry picked some that I thought would be unexpected. Yeah, it's very very surprising.
That does shock me.
Yeah, it's shockable. So, as I said earlier, they were originally like a cover band, and then they had their EP. And after that, it was about 3 years later, they signed a record deal with EMI and Roadrunner Records. And Roadrunner was originally,
Mimi. Sorry.
yeah, he went really far from like escaping the coyote to having his own record company, and that's the kind of success story that I'm really here for. I know.
Yeah,
Gorgeous,
what a rags
right?
to riches. Good for him.
Truly. Yeah,
Or
meep
them.
meep indeed. Yeah,
Me.
let's not assume, Riley.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Just check yourself, you know? Check your privilege, check your pronouns.
Okay, sorry. That was a real coyote move of me.
It really was. So you were asking what songs were on Silver Side Up.
I was indeed.
They were Never Again, How You Remind Me, Woke Up This Morning, Too Bad, Just For, Hollywood, Money Bot, Where Do I Hide, Hangnail, and Good Times Gone. And I would say
recognize any of those other songs.
I would say that you would definitely, I think you would recognize Never Again and Too Bad.
Okay.
And those
like
are
if I
really,
heard them, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. If you heard them, I'm pretty sure you would recognize those. They're most like the albums that in my opinion are most memorable would be Silver Side Up and mostly All the Right Reasons. And All the Right Reasons, I should have had this pulled up. Oh yeah. Hold on.
It's really unprofessional.
I know.
Trying to run a profesh podcast here.
Okay, All the Right Reasons, Follow You Home, Fight for All the Wrong Reasons, Photograph, Animals, Savin' Me, Far Away, Next Contestant, Side of a Bullet, If Everybody Cared, or if Everyone Cared, Someone That You're With, and Rockstar.
Okay, that's like all their songs that I know. Every single one of them.
Yep. Damn. So that's why I thought it would be super fun. To instead of like our usual trivia, we're going to play, you know, that game where you get part of the lyrics, then you try and fill in the rest?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought we could do that with...
Okay, sweet.
I was thinking we could start with How You Remind Me.
Okay.
Because I thought that might be the one you would remember the most. I was going to say I'm going to sing. I'm not. I'm going to start the verse. Never made it as a wise man. I couldn't cut it as...
A something man stealing. A strong man stealing?
No, a poor man stealing.
A poor man stealing. Yeah, that doesn't make sense,
makes
does it?
More sense.
I mean, strong men can steal. I'm just saying.
Yeah, they're probably better at it, but here we are.
They can really push you around.
Tired of living like a blind man. I'm sick of sight.
Without a sense of feeling.
Yeah. And this is how you remind me.
You remind me.
This
of
is
what
how
I
you
really
remind
am.
Me of what I really am. Yeah, we do that twice. It's not like you to say sorry.
Always.
I was waiting.
No. Oh, I was waiting on a different story?
Yes.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. This time I'm mistaken for handing you
a heart worth breaking.
And I've been wrong. I've been down, been to the bottom of every bottle. These 5 words in my head scream.
Are we having fun yet?
Yet. No. Yeah.
And we are having fun.
We are. I think you're doing real damn well on that one.
Thank you. They come to you like faster than you think.
They do, yeah, because they're just really ingrained in there. Do you want to try another one?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm feeling good.
Okay. Let's go to... Do you want to... You said you recognize some from All the Right Reasons. Do you want to try a Photograph?
Sure, let's do Photograph.
Hell yeah. Alrighty.
Gotta do Photograph.
All right. Look at this photograph. Every time I do...
It makes me laugh.
How did our eyes get so red?
What the hell is on Joey's head?
And this is where I grew up.
I
I
think
think the pres.
something ought to fix it up.
Pretty close. I think the present owner fixed it up.
Oh, is
I
that what he's
never
saying?
knew. Yeah. Some of these I'm like, huh. I never knew we'd ever went without
The something sneaking out.
the second floor is hard for sneaking out.
Yeah, that.
This is where I went to school.
Most of the times had better things to do.
Yeah, most of the time had better things to do.
Okay.
Criminal record says I broke in twice.
I must have sneaked in half a dozen times.
That's really, I must have done it half a dozen times. I'm still,
shit.
Yeah, I'm really impressed that you still got the half a dozen. I wonder if it's too late.
Something about graduate. Shit. I don't know. Hold on. Sorry. I got to get like the tune back in my head. This one's harder than I thought. And I feel like this is the one I know the most.
Okay. So that one, a little more difficult. Understandable.
Rockier. Yeah. Is it?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Let's. Okay. This one's going to be really awkward to speak at each other, but let's go to their notorious animals.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
I'm driving black on black. Just got my license back.
Shit. I don't know this one as well as I thought. I just got my license back. I'm driving black to white and something probably about sex.
Not yet, but soon.
I don't know the next line.
Okay.
That one made me feel bad about myself.
Well,
I used to listen to that all the time too.
Oh yeah, I listened. That came out. When did that come out? I'm pretty sure it came out when I was in middle school. So it was a very inappropriate song for me to be listening to, but I sure did.
It's an inappropriate song for us to listen to now.
Yeah, it came out in 2005.
Okay, that was 2 years before I graduated.
High school, right?
Yes, I didn't graduate.
Okay, so yeah, I would have been in like, I think I was in like 6th grade or something. Yeah, something around there. If I was a
sophomore.
You know what I remember about that song though, is we had, because our school was like, hey, let's not have actual educational content on sex. Let's just push abstinence and the Lord. And I remember a lady, we had this assembly in middle school, and this lady was talking about, like, she was like, and I heard this filth my son was listening to, and they played this song.
And it was this.
And then and she talked about, she like got real weird and was like, no, we're never gonna quit. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Just acting like we're animals. And she was like telling us the lyrics and being like, listen to these heathens and whores. And then
the kids just like, whoa.
Yeah, there's some people who are like, woo. Yeah. And she was not amused. And then this was the best part. She was like trying to tell everybody like they should be proud that they're virgins, and she wants people just like being like, whoa, I'm a virgin. She's like, at one of the schools I went to, one of the popular guys put his hands up and went, I'm a virgin, and went running through the halls just going, I'm a virgin, I'm a virgin. And I'm like, that absolutely didn't happen. If it did, he was totally mocking you.
Linda, calm down. Knock it off.
Calm down. Yeah, and then, oh my God, the worst part is they did the sticky tape analogy.
The hell is
you know that? Where it's like a girl is like a sticky is like tape, and then they like put tape and like touch a bunch of different people's clothes, and is pretty much like, look how dirty she is now.
No.
Yes.
Why isn't a boy a sticky tape? Boys
exactly.
Are way stickier.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Okay. It is easier to get an STD or STI from a human with a penis. I don't want to gender it too much, but like cis men will say it is much easier than it is people like it's just because like the concentration and whatnot. I don't know. Look, I obviously didn't have great sex ed, but I do know that it's easier to pick up STIs from penises than vaginas.
Instrument. Because it's dangling all over the place. It's just like,
it's also stuff. Just like how you interact, and also like sperm and shit. So yeah, if anybody is sticky tape, it's people with dicks, the stickiest of tape. But yeah, no, it was. I remember being so pissed about that, and I still am.
Yeah, because again, why is it just girls are sticky tape. Also, that's not how it was. Like, shut the fuck up. Shut up.
Yeah.
And we're all leaving our DNA all over each other. FYI, Brenda, you got someone else's DNA on you too.
Yeah, she has kids, so she let somebody put their DNA in her
Yeah.
sticky tape vagina. How dare you, Bren?
Like, women are like fly traps. Like, fuck off, Brenda.
Yeah, no, it was so disgusting. And I
That's
remember even at that age
horrible.
being like, okay, so like, shouldn't guys also be sticky tape? Because if they're sticking their dicks and stuff, they're definitely getting things
No.
too. No, they
No,
can't help
boys
it.
will
It's
be
just natural.
boys. Yeah.
Yeah.
They have those natural
No,
urges. But you're a
yeah.
whore.
And yeah, well, women don't have, women and girls, no sex drive, no interest in it
No,
at
no, no, no,
all.
no, no, no,
And
no,
you
no.
just have to like guard your virginity because that is your self-worth right there. Not even your
Yes.
self-worth, it's just your worth in general.
And if
Yeah,
you
no,
have
it was gross.
sex, you're worthless. Just know that. Like,
Depreciates like
not trying to make you feel bad,
yep.
but you're worth.
It it's sort of like you're a car. You okay?
I still have that catch in my throat. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's okay. It's sort of like you're a car on a lot, and as soon as you let somebody drive you off, immediate value depreciation.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm
And that,
angry.
yeah. Well, one of the things I'm proudest about writing is when I was leaving our town's paper, like when I was moving back to current town, I wrote about sex education.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you ended up reading it or not, but I wrote about sex education in our high schools, and it was concerning how many, I mean, none of them, like most of them were like pretty abstinence based. Actually,
Yeah.
all of them were. All of them were like abstinence based. And then some of them, like I remember talking to some of the teachers leading it and them being like, yeah, I would like to put more in pretty much about religion. They're like, but I can't technically, although that is what I believe. And I'm like, great, I'm so glad you're teaching this science, mental health based thing and just being like, God hates you, women.
Yeah.
Just remember.
So keep them legs closed, okay? Or you're going to hell.
Legs closed, mouth closed, just zoop.
Zip it all up.
Yeah. So, anyways, every time I hear that song, I think of that lady.
Oh, that's a lot to process.
It is a lot to process.
Yeah. Okay.
I remember too in health class later in like 9th grade or something, at that point, 9th or 10th grade, like health stuff, it was like showing a lot of dicks with STIs, and it was all straight. Like none of it was for anybody who was gay. It was all straight. And I wanted to just raise my hand and be like, can I be excused? Because like none of this is for me.
This does not apply to my life.
This does not apply, and I feel gayer seeing all of this.
Not applicable, ma'am.
Not applicable, ma'am.
I mean, the only thing I really remember from health class, because again, we did not learn a lot that was actually useful, is just them basically handing out what looked to me almost like a coloring page of a penis. And I remember just looking at it and being like, that's what it is? And like, I'm straight, but like, that's what it is? Like, why does it have to look like that? I'm just saying. Like, it's not the most attractive
it could be better.
Of extremity. It could be better. It could,
yeah,
there is
room for improvement. Absolutely.
That's what it is. Yep.
Yeah. Like not terrible, but like also should have probably just stayed a first draft.
I have more penis stuff, but I'm going to cut it off.
No. What's the penis stuff?
No, I just like, and then nobody like, oh, I'm going to cry. But like, God, we don't fucking learn anything in the Midwest school system. Like, the difference between like circumcised and uncircumcised, like that's a big shock for some people when they go out into the world of penises and decide to, defy God and have some sex, like
and gaze upon a naked peen. Yeah.
Just like never.
What is like every episode now, you just have a breakdown. The worst part is this is just going to sound silent because you're laughing at such a high frequency. Like the mic is barely picking it up. But you just look unhinged. You're crying again. My God.
We're just filthy. That's all. We're filthy women.
We're just filthy women.
Oh, just like Belinda said.
She just keeps devolving or evolving. Who can say?
Only Belinda knows. Okay, sorry.
Should we get back to Nickelback? Are you going to be okay?
No. Like, why? Why does this happen?
I don't know. I think you need to talk about it with your therapist, though. I think this has become this only space where you can let out your emotions and deep feelings because it's like weirdly voyeurist. But also it's like the safety of we're talking but not in the same room and just feeling like there are strangers there to offer support, even though it's mostly just a few people we know and then some Canadians and Australians.
Yeah. Good A,
Thank
guys.
you, guys.
I lost him, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. I really like Vegemite and koalas.
I've never tried it. Koalas are great.
Vegemite, the first few times you have it, it's going to be off-putting and confusing. But then once your body processes and you accept it, then you're like sick.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll have to try some. But yes, we have had some listeners from like places and people that we're not related to, and some nice
or
like
haven't been
comments.
friends with for 7 years. Yeah. So thank you. It really it is shocking and delightful because when you sent me that, I mean, I know these aren't big numbers for like big boy podcasts or big girl or big person podcasts. But when you sent me that, like we're in 700 and something people's top podcasts, and I was like, that has to be individual, right? Because
I would think so.
Individual accounts, and that is crazy. I mean, we just kept talking about it like dorks, frankly.
We did.
And like anytime you guys message the Insta, because I don't have access to it. I mean, I probably should, but it's fine. Riley just screenshots and sends me everything. And thank you for the birthday wishes and for all the nice things and the funny things you send.
It's been really nice, but we're not kidding when we say we pretty much thought that 3 people were listening to this. Like 3 to 10.
Yeah. I check every time you get something from somebody who's not Mom, Justin, or Beth. I check to see if it's a bot, and so far it hasn't been, and it's been wild.
It has, and like nice people. And I know that's not going to last forever because, trolls, but everybody has been so wonderful. And we also, I'm not going to name drop because I'm not going to be that like thirsty, annoying person, but we got followed by somebody that we really love listening to, and we about lost our GD minds over it.
I keep thinking I'll say it's somebody from one of our favorite podcasts. Maybe it was probably just her being nice, but
That's fine.
Freak out, and now every time we post on social I worry that she'll be like, why am I following this, and unfollow. And now I'm really scared that she's going to see Nickelback because that's not her music taste, and I'm just like, please don't. It's the only thing
it's the only thing too.
We live for now.
I know. I'm like, no, you can't be that person. And she's seen our stories. Like, she saw that it was your birthday.
Oh my God. It's like she and I are married.
That's the kind of stuff that's going to ruin it all. It's going to take us down.
She doesn't know who she is. Or maybe she does because she's like, nobody else would follow these losers.
Well, I was going to say, I think she can tell pretty quickly by looking at our followers.
But that doesn't mean she listens. That could just be that I don't know how she got here. If she is listening,
so much. Like, you don't even know how much.
You don't even know.
I will quit this podcast with my sister and go do one with you if you want me to. I'm just
I would be offended if you didn't. I would be like, you dumb bop it bitch.
You bop it bitch. You turned down the opportunity of a lifetime.
I think we should get back to Nickelback.
Yes, so sorry.
Sorry. Okay,
what is so happening?
I don't know. We just us, you know? Okay, so Nickelback. We have Chad Kroeger as lead vocals, lead guitar, and rhythm guitar. His brother Mike on bass. Ryan Peake on rhythm guitar and backing vocals, as well as lead guitar and the keyboards. And then finally, Daniel Adair on drums, percussion, and backing vocals. There's been like a bunch of drummers, but some of them didn't have like wiki pages, and I'm sorry, I started getting bored, and I figured you guys might get bored too, because we're not here to talk about like the deep history of Nickelback.
No.
We're here to talk about how they got hated on. What were you going to say, Obi-Wan?
I was just going to say that I didn't know that Chadwell had a brother.
Yeah, Chadifer's brother is Mike, and they play music together.
Wow, that's beautiful.
It is beautiful for them.
Mm-hmm.
What's not beautiful for them, and I think they'd agree, is the fact that Nickelback became very much an easy joke, especially like late 2000s. Yeah, like late 2000s. And I've been very fascinated by this, because there are some songs of theirs, like Leader of Men, I still will, not frequently, but every now and then when I go and listen to stuff I listened to in elementary school and middle school, most of it I would not say is good, but it still like tickles that part of the brain and gets that little serotonin release. And so it's like really, it's stuff that I tend to run to, especially when I want to feel like I'm in a 2000 superhero movie. And like Save Me or Leader of Men by Nickelback does that. Would I say they're good songs? Not particularly, no. But I do find the fact that they're super successful and very hated, or the butt of so many jokes, to be interesting. So I kind of wanted to look a little bit into that, as I've said 18 times. So a few of the things that I found was like why are they made fun of and like so cyberbullied? One is they're commercial, but like too commercial.
Okay.
And so like there's this thing I was reading. I have references. You'll find them on the blog post. Chad is talking about, he talks about how like he obsessively would dissect every song on the radio and try to figure out what made it successful. And that's really impressive. Like that's a really impressive dedication to your craft. But for something like art, it doesn't feel genuine, I guess. Is maybe
more
part
of
of it.
Formula.
Yes. So it's like a really great way to manufacture hits, but I think the problem is almost that. It's much more, like you said, like a formula, and it can become like hit after hit without not a lot of heart.
Yeah, I can see that. That makes a lot of sense.
And I was reading this really interesting like article on Medium from the user was Emma and the Music. And I'll link to it once again in the blog post. But she pointed out how like other bands have similar sounds, or like a similar sound, but and had hits, but like not as many as Nickelback, which made them really stand out as more like generic, but also being like rewarded for being generic. If that makes sense, because they
yeah.
And then another point she made that was really interesting is that the label they signed with was mostly metal, and they are not a metal band. But they got a lot of financial support from Roadrunner, and that might have really turned metal fans off. And I think that was a pretty astute observation. Emma and the Music.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. And what's really interesting is that, so there is a 2023, which is this year, in case you weren't
yes,
unaware,
it is.
documentary called Dicks and Balls. It's not called
Back
that. It's called Hate to Love Nickelback. And Mike says in it, sometimes people just want to hear vacuous dumb shit on the radio about his own music. And so
I
it's
kind of love
funny
that.
because yeah, but I kind of think, I didn't watch it because I forgot to, and I was kind of done. But I think it's interesting because it seems like understandably, if you were for like a decade plus just getting railed every day online,
Mm-hmm.
I would be pretty pissed and upset about it as well. But then I'm like, are they also admitting, like I don't know, I'm like, if you would have admitted, if you would have had that attitude like in the beginning of like, yeah, our stuff is just supposed to be like hits, like it's just supposed to be catchy, it's not supposed to be deep. I
Mm-hmm.
wonder if it would have been different.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like too, though, as you said, at some point when you're being made fun of that much, you kind of have to like be part of the joke or make the joke first, you know?
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. And something that Chad himself said is that he thinks part of why Nickelback gets so much hate is that just the constant, I mean, this was before, in like late 90s, early 2000s. This was before like we weren't rocking our personal music devices a lot. Like we
Mm-hmm.
listened to the radio way more, and they were getting their, How You Remind Me, for instance, was getting played like a bajillion times a day. So he thinks there's
Yeah.
just like this oversaturation of Nickelback where people just started hating them because they're like, oh my God, it's that fucking song again, or it's that fucking band again.
Yeah, I do feel like Rockstar played on a loop for a while, and I did. I started hating that song real hard.
Yeah, well, and that's another reason is kind of like a second bullet point for why the vitriol is a lot of their lyrics are just kind of trashy or just like
Mm-hmm.
not that deep. Like Rockstar is, it's just vapid, I guess.
Yeah, it's shallow.
It's kind of comical how like douchey it is.
Yeah. Well, and
And
then it's like, were they making fun of that whole culture? Like,
I don't think, like, to me it does, I
okay.
think that's the thing. I don't think it comes across like that, at
Okay.
least.
Yeah.
Is part of the problem. And you have that, you have like animals, like a lot of things they were just kind of raunchy, which is funny because I'm like, a lot of music is
Mm-hmm.
raunchy, but I think maybe it's just that it feels like very
Well, there's no like
repetitive.
subtlety to it, or you were kind of talking about like music being
Yeah.
art. There's kind of no artistry to it. They're not really trying to like make you think about it. It's just like, here it is. Here's a song about how being a rock star is all about just having money and girls and drugs. Like, there
Yeah.
you go.
It can appeal to a lot of people on a this is catchy basis, but like if you're going beyond, like if you're going into the art of the music, it doesn't feel like there's really much substance. If you're going into the lyrics, some, like, definitely some songs have better lyrics than others. It's not like all
Yeah,
of
of
their songs
course.
are rock star and animal, but it's just kind of like, okay, yeah, we get it. You do sex. You do
You
sex
do
so
the
hard.
sex.
You do sex so hard, bruh.
Wow, good for you. You rock
Good
stars,
for
you do
you.
the sex.
And then three that I think contributed to the like memification of Nickelback is internet culture slash like hipster movement. Because hipsters really found their footing in like the 2010s. And if there's anything that would be in their atheist memorandum, it would be to hate any band with multiple Billboard hits. I think you get that. I don't know if that's like a huge part of it, but I do
Mm-hmm.
think with the 2010s, I feel like that's when Nickelback started getting a lot of hate, and from what I saw, that's when they started getting a lot of hate, and that was really the rise of internet culture. and
Okay.
and two though, I think that even if you're not a hipster, one of the things that really came from hipster culture is just it is hating mainstream. It's like things that are popular like are no
Uh,
longer cool, where in the 80s, for instance, it was very much the opposite of that. Like you really wanted to try and have all like this very certain look, and you wanted to be into these certain popular things, where now, and in the 2010s especially, it was just like, oh, like somebody's heard of the band that you love, you need to find a new favorite band because yours isn't cool anymore because one person heard
yeah.
of it at this party. And so I think when you get a notion that something is mainstream and already kind of generic, and then you mash that with internet culture and hipsters. I don't think it's super uncommon.
No.
To get some meme fodder.
It's the perfect food for memes. They just gobbled up.
It really was. And then this other thing was like, it might just be their personalities that I saw. And
oh no!
One of the things, though, I will say, if I was really, because here's the thing, they all do seem very passionate about music. So
good for them.
Right. So I'm trying to see it from like, if I was really passionate about something and people are just like, what you do is superficial and dumb, I would say after like 2 decades, 3 decades of that, like I would get bitter. So
yeah,
some of the bitterness could be from that. But I was reading this article by, his name is Joel Swenson, and he was talking about going to a Nickelback concert because he wanted to kind of see like what's the vibe. And he said at first like they played and they were really good, and then it just fizzled out. And Chad was talking about how like if I release this song today, we would be canceled immediately. And there's this really great note, or this really great quote from Mr. Swenson's article that I'm going to read, and it says, "Note, it's not canceling if people just hate your corny ass band. Also, they could definitely still release a song like Figured You Out Today because no one would ever hear it but Nickelback fans."
Oh, Joel.
Joel came and swing it. And he said he was like, he wanted to go in there, and he was actually like, the people there were truly fans. Like, he was like, they were fucking feral. Like, quote, he called them feral. He's like, people are losing their shit. They started off really good. And he's like, and then it just took a nosedive with them kind of this, like, I don't know, sort of like trying to be edgy martyrs. I will say though, like, I think it's hard to say if you see somebody one time to be like, oh, they're not good performing live, because if you think about that's your job, and if you think about every day, like if somebody walked in one day and observed you at your job on a day you were feeling shitty or off, and they were like, oh, that's how you do your job, it would be really inaccurate. So I try and keep that in mind. Like, he could have just caught them on a bad day, and maybe Chad's vocals were just getting rough, but he said it just sounded like he used all of his good stuff up for the first few songs, and then it was just like boop-a-doop.
Oh, well, I mean, like you said, we all have those days, maybe.
Yeah. I will say though, the whole like people would have canceled us, and like people are getting their feelings hurt, blah, like that kind of rhetoric is very
it's juvenile. It's just like,
it feels like you're going to pull out your like MAGA hat.
Yeah, it starts to feel a little bit like you're trying to incite something, and a little bit like you might be getting your feelings hurt, which I always find ironic, and they never seem to realize about themselves. So yeah, I can understand that would be a bit off-putting.
Yeah, so that was kind of where I stopped, because it was pretty much just the same, and I'm like, oh, now I'm doing that. It was just the same regurgitation of why do people hate Nickelback, and like here's some pretty good reasons, but also like music is subjective and some people like Nickelback. And I'm like, cool, that's what we're doing, I guess. And that's when I stopped, and I was like, I guess I should have picked Linkin Park, but it's too late.
But I think it is an interesting concept, though, because you're right. Even when you texted me and were like, listen to Nickelback with me, my reaction in my head was like, why the fuck would I listen to Nickelback? Like, I don't want to listen to Nickelback right now. Like, why? Why are you doing that to me?
And that's the thing that I will say, like, I feel like Nickelback it's like if there are a few songs of theirs that you're like, yeah, that's cool to like work out to and whatnot. Whatever, but like I will still, after this, if somebody was like, my favorite band unironically is Nickelback, I would judge them.
I'd be like, who hurt you?
I would just be like, huh. It's kind of just like if you were like, what's your favorite dessert, and somebody said yogurt.
Oh yeah, like there's nothing wrong with yogurt. Yogurt's perfectly acceptable.
You're like, that's your favorite? Tiramisu, fuck you. Like cake, ice cream, no, not even froyo. You're like, nah, just like some nice Greek vanilla yogurt, that's my favorite dessert. I'd be like, you know what, to each their own, but also like if we're doing a potluck, I'm not putting you on dessert.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna switch the station if I hear a Nickelback song, if a Nickelback song comes up, I clearly know, well, not all the lyrics, but some of the lyrics to some of the songs. Like, and I remember listening to those songs a lot in high school and jamming out to them, but would not say that any of them are a favorite song or that they are a favorite band, but certainly influential. I mean, certainly successful in their own right.
Yeah. I mean, even like you could say on an objective level, they are successful.
Yeah.
If they've been around since 1995, they've sold over 50 million records. Like, they are successful. And
Yeah.
not everything that's popular is bad, but also sometimes it's not great.
It just is.
What I will say is actually fucking fantastic. Because when I was little, like elementary school little, I did really love their music, because it was to me like very metal and like rock and whatnot. And I hadn't really
Yes.
heard music like that. And I was like, I felt like a grown up being, like 8 and listening to Silver Side Up. And I remember
Yeah.
I went to buy a new album of theirs, because we, just CDs. And I accidentally picked up Vitamin String Quartet's cover of Nickelback. And
Oh,
I will say it's
interesting.
really fucking good.
I
So it
bet it
makes me
is.
wonder if I'm like, is like the music, or I don't know. I've lost all of my music knowledge from the 6+ years I played violin. But like not the lyrics. The lyrics we've like they're pretty subpar. Like they're not great. And some of them are really bad. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I wonder if I just looked at, what is it called? But the music-y aspect, the not lyrics part. I'm like, I wonder if,
Instrumental.
thank you. I'm like, are those good? Or is it just that, like, I don't know. Listen to, I'll send it to you, but Vitamin String
Okay, yeah,
Quartet,
send it.
the cover is black and white, and their covers of these songs make them sound so good. Obviously, there's no lyrics,
Mm-hmm.
but just,
Yeah.
I think maybe too, it's because like orchestra, looking at like orchestra and looking at that kind of post grunge rock are like very far apart in style.
Yeah.
It's such a cool new way to hear it that I will still listen to that. Like I'll still listen to that, and I'm like, that album slaps. It fucking slaps. It's beautiful.
That's I don't feel like this is probably a show you watch, but Bridgerton. Have you seen any
I'm
Bridgerton?
familiar with it, but I have not, my little Oberto.
Okay, one of my favorite things about that show, other than, just the fact that it's smoking hot, is that all of the songs that they have played at like the balls and stuff are popular, like modern songs, but they're orchestral. And it is the
Ooh.
coolest thing. I love it. I love it so much. Like every single song they play is a modern song, but they have the orchestra doing it. And I love that concept because like you said, it's
Yeah.
two totally different things coming together. It always sounds amazing. And as you're like, it won't hit you at first. And then I'll be sitting there and I'm like, oh, I know this song. And it'll be like
Yeah.
freaking Ariana Grande or something. Like, and I think that is such a cool idea.
It's such a good and unique way to hear a song again, and it feels so new, and I feel like you pick out
Yeah.
different parts, and it's really cool because it's different than, to me it feels different than just like a cover. You're really like, the amount that you'd have to do, I feel like, to translate between the two.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool. It's so cool. Like, I really love Vitamin String Quartet. Like, I love seeing, like, I love all of their covers of songs I know. What I think is really cool about this is just like, I've heard now maybe enough pop, and pop with like string instruments, that a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times, like they're still really good, but like them covering Coldplay and stuff, I'm like, okay, well, Coldplay, like they have a lot of times, or have had, you know string instruments in their songs, so it doesn't really feel that transformed. But I'll have to
Mm-hmm.
say, I just texted it to you, that those Nickelback covers by them are really good. And I
Okay.
remember reading a certain book series, like a fantasy book series, when I was little, and like listening to that on loop.
Oh, cute. Little Kibby.
Little kibbles and bits. I guess I'm just going to end it with this quote from Chad, and it's from the Hate to Love. It says, I play Nickelback songs for Nickelback fans, so I don't have to go win over somebody who doesn't like my band. That sounds like some very strange form of torture, probably for both of us. And he's
Okay,
kind of,
Chad.
it seems like he's kind of come to accept it. He said that, like, he's tired of talking about why everybody hates Nickelback, but they're so successful that he's like, now that this documentary's out, I'm like, watch that. Like, I've said what I've had to say. And, that's fair. That's fair. I mean,
Yeah, it
here's one
is
of the things
fair.
that I think is really funny about, like, hating art, or like, is that, like, you don't have to interact with it.
No, it's not for you then.
I just think that I've become very huge on let people like things. And I wasn't always like
Mm-hmm.
that because I was a little hipster tool, but I'm like, just let people like things, and not everything. And I think this is particularly really important for majority groups. Not everything is for you, and it shouldn't be.
No.
And
Agreed.
you can watch something that's not for you, or listen or partake, and just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's bad.
Correct.
And
Correct
sometimes it's like,
again.
just walk away.
Right. No, I don't think anybody's making you watch that. And if somebody is threatening you and making you watch that, you should call the police.
Or just tase them, just go straight for the
Yeah, punch them.
I mean, our
No, and
entire
that's, yeah.
podcast is us commenting on shit, and a lot of it's
Well,
not going to be for us. But look, other than just ignore that part and listen to me being so wise and mature and self-actualized.
that you are so self-actualized. I'm very proud of you.
Really?
I'm very self-actually proud of you.
Oh, thanks, Obert. I live for
You're
your
welcome.
approval.
Good, that's healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll
Don't
process that
disappoint
later.
me. Okay.
I try not to.
God, I've snorted so much. What a great sound for all of your ears. Oh,
You're a
more.
little snorfer.
I am, and like crying. God, guys, I'm so sorry. I think
Felt
you
so
are
burped in
right.
an episode.
Yeah, something I think cathartic happens to me during these episodes. And like, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but I probably
No,
should like get a
talk to a
therapist.
therapist. I was
Maybe
just going
do
to say,
that with
maybe
them.
you're, I was going to be like, maybe you're a ventriloquist, but I meant voyeurist. A ventriloquist would be so much more upsetting for me.
Does anybody have a ventriloquist I could speak to about my emotional outbursts? Thank you. Please, please send your requests to our email, because you can email us as long as you're nice. And I tell you what, the second somebody's mean to us, it is going to break me. I'm just letting you know.
I think I'm just going to be bored that annoyed I wasted my time.
Yeah.
I have pretty thick skin because I came out in a really small conservative town. So
That'll
I'm
do
like,
it.
it's pretty hard to upset me, but I do get angry and defensive of people I love. And I'm
Mm.
pretty good with computers, so I will hunt you down, is what I'm saying, if you're mean to Riley. No, I will fucking find you.
Thank you. I like when you get like defensive in my honor. I
I would
don't
kill
like
for
when
you.
you're mad at me or defensive with me. It scares me.
Does it really?
Hmm.
Is it because I have a really bad temper?
Hmm.
Yeah, I've gotten so much better with it.
You have. No, you really have.
Thank you. It's something I've worked on a lot over the past
I can
like
tell.
8 years. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
it's
like
much harder
genuinely.
when thank you. It's much harder when I am unmedicated, which is why I get really pissed that I have to constantly work to get my ADHD medication. And it
Yeah,
is such
that's
a fucking
bullshit.
pain in the ass. I think I'm going to unmedicated yell at them tomorrow about how it's bullshit. And if I wanted to abuse my ADHD medications, I would have when I had the fucking senile psychiatrist who would literally ask me what dose I wanted. I'm like, if I was going to abuse my Vyvanse then, when I was taking Vyvanse, would have done it. Would
Yeah,
have
that
done
would have
it.
been the time. Like, I'm not a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
God dang. That's insanity.
It's stupid. It just makes me want to kick them all till they're dead.
Karen Walker.
Icon.
Uh,
Well,
that was a good episode. I had fun discussing the back
oh,
of
thank
Nickel,
God.
and
I was really concerned when I dipped out of research because I got bored. I was just like, oh man, how's this going to go? But no, I think that we've landed on a little vapid, a little like wannabe edgy, not for us.
No, but definitely
also,
influenced our childhood for sure,
our
youth.
And every now and then, like when I'm looking at old music from my childhood, like when I'm running and I need that like a little brain boop, what's it called? Serotonin. Like I'll throw them on. I'll throw on some, I don't know, Train maybe. Did we really listen to Train? I don't know. We probably did.
Oh yeah, we listened to
Foo Fighters, but Foo Fighters are still good.
Yes, they are. No, I would say definitely. I wouldn't say it does or doesn't hold up. It's
what it always has been.
Yes. Yep. It prevails. It perseveres. I was trying to think of another P word. Don't have one.
Yeah. No, I was trying to think of like a pun or something I could say that would tie it to a Nickelback song, but I got nothing.
We just all want to be rock stars and live in hilltop houses.
Mansions, sure. With 15 cars. And you know those girls, they come easy.
And those drugs come cheap.
And we'll all say skinny.
Because we just want to eat.
Yeah. So that's I think our lessons. Those are all our lessons for tonight or today or whenever you're putting us in your ear holes, letting us tickle your brain.
Okay, we love you guys. We really do. You're the best.
Please send us just whatever. If you want to say hi, we'll say hi back because we're constantly needing reassurance of our self-worth, and we tie it to things that we do.
Yep, that's it.
Woo!
Okay. Love you guys. Bye. God. Stop.
You've reached Sid
and Riley.
We can't come to the phone right now,
so leave a message after the beep. Ruining Our Childhood was filmed in front of a live studio audience.
Psych. But it is produced by us, Riley and Cassidy.
With music by Joseph Tuna Medish.
You can follow us on Instagram at Ruining Our Childhood Pod.
Or send us an email at ruiningourchildhoodpod@gmail.com.
Support the show through our Ko-fi account, ko-fi.com/ruiningourchildhoodpodcast.
Later.